ahead and get started here. Thank you all for coming. This is so nice to have you all here tonight with us to celebrate a very important person in Irvington's history, Madge Oberholtzer. 100 years ago, on April 14th, 1925, Madge passed away. But she was a young female advocate who really believed and fought hard for what she believed in. And she only lived just a few blocks away from here. But she was operating in a male-dominated society, a society that was dominated by the Ku Klux Klan, who had a puppet hand over the government of the state of Indiana at the time. And those who were not in power had very little control in the government that had a very narrow worldview.
Sounds familiar.
Power in the hands of just a few, including one powerful man who took advantage of anything and everything and anyone that got in his way, the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, who incidentally also lived just a few blocks away and a few blocks down from Madge. But her job at the time was working for the state of Indiana. She was running a program called the Indiana Young People's Reading Circle, a special section of the Indiana Department of Public Instruction, Education. And her job running that program was about to be eliminated due to budget cuts. And she was afraid about what that was meaning to her and the people that she was trying to serve and help throughout the state. But she knew her own neighbor might be able to have a hand in helping save her program. So she reached out to him, to help try to save her program and make this program stick around. That contact, though, unfortunately, ultimately led to her death. A death that was led by the hands of her neighbor and in a very gruesome way. It ended a beautiful life, but her death was not in vain. Before she died, she was able to share her story, and that story became the main voice in a trial against that man in Noblesville. And that led, because of her involvement and her bravery, that helped lead to the end of that Ku Klux Klan rule over the state of Indiana. And so today, we are here to help celebrate that spirit. A spirit that has not been celebrated in this neighborhood or in the city until now. And we are so excited. The Irvington Development Organization worked together to help pull together the funding with a grant from the Arts Council of Indianapolis to help pull together this mural that would help celebrate that spirit. So just a couple of things here. That we would like to thank as part of our effort to keep her story alive. And those thanks go to the Arts Council, Julia, the Irvington Community Council, Charlotte Oninger, who knows the history much better than I do, so I hope I haven't embarrassed you too much.
No, great.
Representative Andrea Hunley, who could not be here this evening. She's downtown working on a budget with some more cuts. Councilmember Andy Nielsen. And of course, to the property owner who allowed us to place this mural on their property as well, Dr. Greg Gossip and his colleague Scott Allison, who's here. People who know me know I like to talk a lot, so I'll wrap this up here very quickly to hear from a couple other speakers. But just before I leave, I just wanted to say, today's world may not be too different from the one that Madge faced. So we hope that this mural may continue to stand as representative of her testimony and a promise from us to her to keep fighting for a better world. We are fortunate for people like her and hope that there are many of her still in us today. Let's hope that we can continue to understand that it's not about might. Let me get this right. Might is not right. Might is for right. And we've got to continue to understand that as we continue to make this world a better place for our children. My daughter, who is here, who helps drive me to do the good work that we're trying to do here today. So thank you all. And with that,
I'd like to introduce Charlotte Ottinger.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you all for coming. Can you hear me? Is it on? Okay. I'm going to start, first of all, by reading a quote that was written in 1930 about Madge. It says, by Harold Feitner, "Few deaths of comparatively inconspicuous people have had the far-flung effects that hers did. Her passing marked the beginning of the end of the Ku Klux Klan in Indiana. It resulted in the indictment of Governor Ed Jackson, the indictment and conviction of Mayor Ed Duval of Indianapolis and other city officials, and a complete change in the capital city's administration, and it nearly wrecked a political party. Not only that, but Madge's willingness to share this terrific, painful event in her life when women never spoke about things like this, she was able to stop D.C. Stevenson from reaching the White House, which was his ultimate goal. Our world would be quite, well, maybe not so different now, but it would have been completely different at that time if D.C. Stevenson had made it to the White House. And he said himself at one point when he was interviewed in the 1950s that he did indeed want to get to the White House, but at that time it probably wouldn't be called a president anymore, he said. There's a lot of parallels today in this world, and I'm hoping that Madge's story will invite many of us to speak out when we see injustice like she did. And I also am very glad to know that she finally got the recognition that she deserves. We've all heard about D.C. Stevenson for many decades, but now we finally know who Madge is. So thank you very much for being willing to share her story with others and to be here today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to Irvington for doing this. I have been a fan, it's called fangirl, is that the term we use now, of Madge. Was really drawn to her in Devil in the Heartland. But, you know, there was so much more to Madge. I mean, she was an artist. I love the fact that this is a mural. She was an artist shaped by masters such as Otto Stark and William Forsythe. She was a reformer, a writer, a woman of deep faith to public service. She raised funds for the Fresh Air Fund and helped build literacy programs that you just heard about. I want to talk to you a little bit about this legal angle. What is this dying declaration, and why is it so important in the law, and how did it really save Indiana? When Marge was brutally attacked and raped, she was in custody of D.C. Stevenson. She was drugged, denied medical treatment, discarded as if her life didn't matter. She tried to escape by taking some toxic mercury pills, and Stevenson was trying to get her home and demanded she remain silent. This is what he said to her. "You must forget this. What is done has been done," he told her. "I am the law and the power," but Madge knew better. She knew that her life and her truth mattered. So really, as her condition got worse and worse, and she was warned she couldn't survive, she made a decision that would really change the course of justice in Indiana. On March 28th, just 2 weeks after the attack, she gave a dying declaration, which was a 3,000-word statement of her testimony. With the assistance of her family attorney and under the care of her doctor, she recounted every harrowing detail calmly, clearly, and truthfully. She named Stevenson. She described her abduction, the brutal injuries that she had. So legally, a dying declaration is among the most solemn forms of testimony somebody can give. It's admitted in court not just because of its dramatic power, but because of its moral weight. Because someone who knows that they're about to die are believed to have no reason left to lie. In Madge's case, her declaration was not only legally admissible, it was unflinching, it was dignified, it was damning. She died 2 weeks later, but her voice did not die with her. It rang out in that courtroom through her sworn words. Her autopsy was the first to be admitted as evidence in an Indiana courtroom. All of this led to Stevenson being convicted of murder on November 1925, ending his control over Indiana politics and thwarting his pursuit of the presidency. The Indiana Supreme Court, the court that I work with now, heard Stevenson's appeal in 1932, but the court analyzed Madge's testimony and determined that the trial court properly admitted it as a dying declaration, and they affirmed Stevenson's conviction. So Madge didn't live to see justice done for the unspeakable violence committed against her, but her bravery ensured that justice was possible. Her decision to speak at the most painful, vulnerable moment in her life shows us what it means to summon strength even when strength seems impossible. So let this mural not only honor the woman Madge was, but remind us that courage comes in many forms. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's written down in trembling hands. Sometimes it comes from a woman who had been silenced, finding her voice one final time, not just for herself, but for what is right. May we never forget, and we may never stop listening to the voices of those who risk everything to tell the truth. Thank you for having me here today.
Good evening, everyone. Not to repeat what has been said, but I think in the wise words of our Madam Chief Justice and Joe and Charlotte as well, I just want to reemphasize why we're here today. And what a gorgeous evening for an event like this here on the east side of Indianapolis. So first, I want to thank the Irvington Development Organization for your leadership in securing the funding, finding an artist, the community engagement that went in as part of this project. I think it's a true testament to the strong community engagement that we have in this neighborhood. Funding for this project was made available by the Public Arts for Neighborhoods grant program, which takes money from development projects throughout the city, puts it into a pot of money, and makes projects like this a reality. I am a very strong supporter of this program and look forward to finding ways to strengthen this program during my time on council so that murals like this or other arts installations can become realities for other neighborhoods across our city. I want to be sure to thank our artist, Andrea Light, for her amazing work, and again for really stepping into, again, a very engaged community. I know you put together 3 different renderings, presented at community events, and allowed neighbors to have agency over an art installation in their community, which is very, very important when we are talking about public art. And finally, I want to thank the Irvington community. I want to thank the Irvington community for being a consistent supporter of the arts in whatever mediums that looks like. We have a strong history of that here on the east side and specifically in this community, for being a strong hub and home to strong women. I am lucky to be married to one of those myself, and I'm very proud of that. And finally, for being a consistent and unwavering supporter of social justice. This neighborhood has evolved in a number of ways over the generations, but is now what we can say is a place where social justice really rings true. As Charlotte mentioned, and I won't take from her because she's the expert on this, I encourage all of you to join us at the library afterward. But I want to take this moment to really reflect. As was said before, with all that is going on in our city, in our state, around the country, and around the globe, in this short start to the year of 2025, Madge's story is an important reminder of the power that one person's strength can have on the course of history. And I hope we can all draw inspiration from her courage when all hope can seem lost. This public mural will allow all neighbors to enjoy and celebrate her life and will serve as a symbol for justice for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. How's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good, buddy. And then last but not least, I'd like to introduce to everybody our artist who helped us bring this image and these ideas to fruition. It was important for the Irvington Development Organization not only to choose a local artist, but a female one to help make sure that that spirit of Madge continued all the way through. So I am so happy to introduce to everybody Andrea Light. Got it? Okay.
So when this opportunity was first presented to me, the development organization was looking to honor a woman who had recently gained momentum as a modern-day feminist icon. With that being said, I wanted to create something that would not only honor Madge, but pay tribute to all of the strong, creative, forward-thinking, and progressive women of the Irvington area. For the overall design, I've used visual elements that have sort of this Art Deco feel, and this is a style of visual art and architecture that was popular during Madge's time. It's characterized by bold colors, geometric shapes, and symmetry. The movement favored technological progress, as well as ideology, as well as just overall progress, and represented a belief in a bigger and brighter future. I've chosen a flame and a book to represent a thirst for knowledge and Madge's love for reading, a paintbrush to represent her creativity and her love for painting, and the scales of justice to represent the impact this case still holds today. Another trademark of the Art Deco movement was to pull inspiration from Egyptian motifs, and I've kind of incorporated some of that into the mural as well. The figure in the middle with her headwear, the hat, I've kind of incorporated an abstract stylized falcon, and falcons are often associated with the symbol of power, courage, and divine protection. And at the bottom of each side, you can kind of see these geometric, stylized feathers, and feathers were seen to represent the goddess of truth, justice, and order. And there's also, I've incorporated towards the top, concentric diamond shapes, and those were often seen as protective talismans, and they also represent femininity, strength, and immortality. And with that, I would just like to say thank you to the Irvington Development Organization and everyone who's had a part in this project, and just thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. So thank you.